Happy camp when you go back into training this morning following the win at Woking at the weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a win always just gets everybody in good spirits. I think people look forward to training more when they've won games. So yeah, it's always nice and makes the journey go quicker and makes the legs feel a bit fresher.
Which I suppose at this point of the season, when you've got all these back-to-back games, is quite important.
Yeah, I think it's important to be in some sort of form when you have a sort of 3 or 4 week Saturday, Tuesday spell. I think if you're in a bad run of form, then you can all of a sudden lose 6 or 7 games. Have a poor points production in 6 or 7 games. I think if you can get a little bit of a run going, it can make a big difference. But all we've done at the moment is managed to pick up 7 points.
When you've reflected on the win, what pleased you most?
Listen, I think Woking in the second half certainly territorially had a bit more pressure than us. I thought we by and large defended well. If you look at it, they had the one chance in the first half where they got in, they put a few crosses in, but I think we dealt with them. And if you go into the second half, I don't think he's hit the bar with the shot from long range, but I don't think he's they've created loads of clear-cut chances where you'd think we've been opened up and caused loads of problems.
Looking ahead then to tomorrow night against Barnett, do you think your team's going to have to put in a solid performance, even more, an even better performance to get something from another team that's going pretty well at the start of the season?
Yeah, I think so. I think Woking are very good at the intensity and the pressure they play with, but they should have beat Ebbsfleet by 4 or 5 on the Tuesday, and they missed loads of chances. So maybe that little creative spark's missing at the moment from Darren's team, but Barnett certainly aren't that. I think they've got a system that will cause its own challenges. They've got players that are very, very strong for the level. They're a very physically strong team, and they're playing some good stuff. And obviously they were playoffs last season, and they've kept that going. And with Kabamba up top, he's obviously a real handful. So there's lots there for us to be wary of. But obviously we're at home. My job's to sort of get the balance right between making sure we know Barnett are strong and we've got to be at it without the ball, but also trying to find a way to cause them problems as well.
What's he like about Mickey Kabamba? Because to have scored 9 goals after just 11 games, that's some start.
Yeah, I think it is, but it's also in a good team. It's like Macaulay Landstaff last season. If the team's strong and the team are good going forward and they create chances, good players will score them. And I think he's in a good team. Manager's very good. Again, another manager I get on very well with. Did a great job last season. He's got them really rolling again this season. He's got high standards, and it's a really good chat. I'm looking forward to it. It's always nice to look forward to it on the back of 3 points, because you go in there with A, optimism, but B, there's less pressure. You feel like, right, let's have a right go at this. Whereas when you're losing games or you haven't got a run going, you can sometimes clam up a bit, and the team, you're just trying to get something from the game.
How's the illness in the camp? Is it still hanging around?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Coxey's ill today, so Coxey didn't come in today. He's not well. Kitman's still off. He's been off all weekend. Although we've managed to get Dice back training today. Kai Kennedy's back in training today. So the illness side of things, we're going through a little bit of a rough patch, but I'm sure other teams will have that as well at some point.
Does that influence the way you go about things? Because I take it it's being passed on from one player to another.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. We've looked into everything you can. It's very, very difficult. It's like kids at school, isn't it? Once one gets something, they're all going to get it. We've got loads of sanitisers around the training ground. We're making sure the players shower after training and don't go into the canteen in dirty kit. Everyone's washing their hands regularly. I mean, there's not a lot you can do. Some guys come in the cars together. Obviously, the lads have all been on a coach together. As soon as we found out Kai wasn't well, we got him in his own room. He kept away from the players. He sat down the front of the coach out of the way. So it's difficult. Once it starts, it's difficult. But we just get on with it. Luckily, we've got a reasonably good squad with numbers, as we talked about before, and we've got the ability to be at cope.
We didn't talk to you really about Aidan Marsh that you brought in the back end of last week. What do you see his greatest attributes as?
I think he's a good player. I mean, we were looking at, initially we were looking going, I said to you right at the very start, centre half and centre forward, I think we're a little bit imbalanced. Depot and Lenny you can't keep taking them to the well 90 minutes every single game, Saturday, Tuesday. Eventually their performance levels drop and you don't get the same player. So Marshy's going to bring an energy. In a lot of what I've looked at in my forwards and when I was watching, I wanted a younger lad who could bring a real energy to the team. He's a runner. He wants to run in behind. He wants to stretch. He's technically good, and he's in a good place. He's done well for Barnett at the start of the season. All the footage I've watched, all the games I've watched, I've liked him. I've done a lot of homework ringing people who are in the know up in the north, and they talk very, very highly of him. So I'm hoping he'll bring energy and goals to the team.
Your suggestions as well, you may get another player in today. You're able to tell us if that's going to be the case, and then what sort of position we're looking at?
We are looking at another player. We are hopefully getting one done today, and certainly that's where we're looking, and that will be in the defensive area, centre back. And again, another to start with a short-term loan of a month, and we see how it goes. Tyler Cordner is suspended. He got booked in the 98th minute. I didn't realise till yesterday in the euphoria of the last minute. It's a couple of bookings were given out that I wasn't aware of. So, but we realised yesterday, so we got to work. Crooksy's got tweaked his groin and had to come off. So all of a sudden, 3 centre halves become 1, and we've had to look at that position and try and get something done.
Where do you see Adam Crooks' best position? Where would he ordinarily like to play, do you think?
Centre back. I think he's
the left-hand side centre.
Yeah, I think he's a centre half. I think he can play in a 3 and in a 2. I think he's been excellent when he's played in there. I made the choice to play him from what I thought would be coming from Woking on Saturday. I decided, Thierry's a bit younger and certainly more of a threat going forward. Crooksy knows the game, knows how to deal with being pressurised and teams putting it on us. So I kind of tried to go with a bit more of a solid back 4 away at Woking, which worked because they defended very well. But you're going to sacrifice maybe a little bit of what Thierry can bring, but we got to see that luckily in the last minute. Alex
Woodyard, after being out for a period of time, 2 games in 4 days, no issues?
He'll tell you no issues. I've got that decision to make, obviously. Sometimes you can have the bounce factor, but I'll have a look at I've had a look at him today, and I'll have a think before I make that decision. But we've got Dice coming back, and obviously you had it a little bit with Dan Batty earlier in the season. Before I came here, didn't really have much of a pre-season, and then I think he played 1 game and then played straight after Rochdale, and that was tougher for him. But you can see Batty's getting fitter now, so it's always a compromise between play them and they'll get fit, and you'll have them players sooner, or mix it up and do it more gently. But that's what I'm paid for.
How much do you rely on talking to a player though before making those decisions and getting them to be honest? Because clearly they all want to play, don't they? But if you're going to be out because you played for another couple of weeks, it's not worth it.
Never listen to players. every player will tell you they're fit and they're fit to start. You use your eyes, you use the data, you use the physio. Sports science team, you chat it through your staff and you make decisions. You've got to learn your players. I don't know the players yet as well as I will do, but you've got to learn your players. Some players are more injury prone. I would put Woody under the class of a robust player who knows how to get through games, so that might sway my decision.
Okay, 2 home games this week, both looking very tricky. If you look at the league table, what would it mean for you to take, say, 4 or 6 out of 6 this week? Well,
we'd be delighted. It just gets momentum going. Everything I'm trying to do at the moment is to, obviously, while we try and sort out where we're going, who fits into the way we want to do things, who doesn't, you need to pick up points. It's no good trying to work all this out and along the way you're down the bottom and you're not winning games, because the players will lose belief, perhaps even in me and my methods, but I'd like to think they're enjoying the training, they're enjoying the information being given. They'll get, as they did today, a clear game plan like they did today, which is how there's a system we're going to play against tomorrow, and there's grey areas in that, and they've got to know what they're doing. Every time they cross the white line, my job's to make sure that they understand where the opposition are going to hurt us, how they can deal with that, and how we're going to hurt them, and how we try and hurt them.
That's great, thank you.
Any questions from me, Neil? So, great last gasp win at Woking at the weekend. What are some of your post-match thoughts?
Gritty performance. I thought, although they got a bit of pressure on us, I thought we, by and large, defended really, really well. They probably had a couple of really good chances. I thought we had a couple of really good chances. Would a draw have been a fair result? Probably in the end. I think you said yes, certainly with the pressure they had. but the boys have found a way to win a game, and that's always a pleasing thing.
Certainly can't complain. Yeah, looking ahead to Barnett tomorrow evening, obviously a really strong side. Only lost 2 games so far this season. I mean, do you think you can get a result at home tomorrow?
Of course, I think we can get a result. And my job, I watched 3, maybe 4 games of Barnet. I've studied their system, where the threats are, and how they play, and it's very good. And they work the top because they've got good players and a good manager, and they play good football, and they cause teams a lot of problems. So my job then is to, with my tactical brain head on, is to make sure I find a way of getting us to play the way I want us to play, but also getting us to be good without the ball and understand and nullify their threats. So we've done work on all of that.
Good to hear. So another big club in the league, of course, who City did the double over last season, and we mentioned that the other day, including that big 5-0 away win about this time last year as well. After beating a heavy hitter in Woking the other day, do you think the side have got a bit of belief going into it tomorrow?
I hope so. I've always said winning breeds confidence. Even when teams on a losing run, I can give as much confidence to the players as possible as a manager, but there's nothing better than having that winning feeling when you know how to win games. I remember my Solihull team, when we got to the playoff final, we lost 1 in our last 24. Players every day, they were in the dressing room. I didn't need to say too much to them. They believed they were going to win. They couldn't see themselves losing, and that comes from winning games. And hopefully we can win enough and be competitive in enough for the boys to feel every time they go into a game that they've got all the tools to win should they want to.
And from me, cheers.
You've gone from a 2-0 defeat at Oldham, and then you've got the injury time winner against Woking away. What has changed? What do you think the difference has been in midweek?
No, just different games. If you look at the Oldham game, we passed it well, we dominated possession. I think we had 63% possession. We never looked like scoring, and we were soft at the back and open at the back. We went to Woking. We had to sacrifice a little bit of our possession and put in a performance. I really hit the lads hard on Friday as to if they do X, Y and Z, they give themselves a chance of winning the game. If they don't, forget it. And I left them on no uncertain terms, and I thought we did that. Woking are really good at just pinning you in right from the word go. And in the first half, Darren was very angry with Woking because I didn't think we let them pin us in. I didn't think we let them really get a head of steam up, and credit to the players. Second half they did a bit better chasing the game, but we stayed in it, we kept going, we didn't crumble at 1-1, we didn't crumble when they were putting pressure on us, and we nicked a winner at the end. So different games, different qualities. Even within games you can need 3 or 4 different qualities within 190 minutes. You can't just be all nice football. You've got to show grit when the opposition have their spell.
And in comparison to the first few games of your tenure, you played a little bit differently. Are you pleased with how the players adapted to the new style?
Yeah, I mean, the Oldham game, I thought we passed the ball really well. We just lacked final third. There's always something a little bit missing. Even in the Southend game, the first half, Southend were more dominant than we were. But when we played through them several times really well. Middle third was terrible, and we kept turning the ball over, so we never got to threaten them. So there's always been bits and pieces. In the Boreham Wood game, the first 25 minutes was a lot of what we worked on for 2 days, and then we went into our shell. So we haven't had a 90 minutes. But the Woking game, I gave the lads a game plan, which was we wasn't going to try and overplay. We needed to rough it out a little bit and show them qualities, which we did. So for me at the moment, while we get our identity and while the players get better at it, we have to find ways to win games.
And while you didn't have as much of the ball against Woking, the important thing was you took your chance, and you must be pleased with the desire and belief to go and get that injury time winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great goal. We've all watched it back. It was great move, great goal, throw in, switch of play, double up down the side, stuff we work on, but the quality of the play when we did it was great. We had 3 players in the box, 2 of them fullbacks, which we talked about, but it is what it is. We take it. It's great, and hopefully it gives the boys a lift. But what I'm looking for now, and it's really, really important, we did really great against Southend, first win, and then we was a bit limp against Oldham. We've done great against Woking and got the win, and it's just now about trying to keep the performance. I can't guarantee a result, but I want a performance from the lads that says, okay, we've kept the levels high, because if you can keep the levels of performance high, then you give yourself a far greater chance of consistency.
Saturday was the first time I think we saw Dan Batty and Alex Woodyard in midfield. I think they played really well together. Is it great to have Alex Woodyard back in the side?
It's great to have Woody back. He's got a lot of experience and know-how. He's different. Batty's Dan wants to make things happen for the team going forward. Woody, and I said to him before the game, Woody's very, very good at seeing dangers and doing the nitty-gritty of football, and I think he did that really, really well. He gets around the pitch, he gets into areas, that ability just to see where he needs to be on the pitch and do it. But I thought Paddy come on and did great. We changed to a 3-man midfield, and Paddy was an 8, and he had great legs and energy. He got in the box to assist the goal. And Dice has done well up to now. So we're starting to get that little bit of competition, which is what I want in them positions.
And you only had 4 subs on the bench on Saturday. You brought all three outfield players on, but they all had an impact. Aidan Marsh, he looked bright when he came on, he created chances.
Yeah.
You had Thierry Fairweather down the wing, he created the chance for the goal, and Paddy McLaughlin, solid in midfield. That must be something that's pleasing for you.
Well, it is, and I say over time, it's a team to start and it's a squad to finish. In the modern day game now, as we know and we've seen in that game, the games go on for 100 minutes now. There's very rarely do you get a 94th minute ending. It's normally 97 or 98. So, the ability with 30 minutes to go when some of the lads are spent, and I want to have the ability, and I always like to say, particularly to my attacking players, run yourself into the ground for 65, 70 minutes and then let me bring fresh subs on. So I'd rather them do that and I bring on them legs and energy. And when you bring subs on, that's what you want. They can't guarantee you quality all the time, but they've got to bring that fresh energy, and the boys did on Saturday.
York City with the highest away following in the league, that's just so impressive, isn't it?
They're brilliant. Honestly, the Oldham game, I mean, you couldn't see them up in the stand, it was so dark, but I can't believe how many were there. And obviously the Woking one was a tough one with it being an early kick-off and it being on telly, but the scenes when we got the winner, it makes it worth all of their travelling. And that's all I can try and do at the moment, is put together a team that at least the fans can relate to and go, look, they're having a go, because most fans will say we'll work, we'll accept some of the mistakes, but if they're having a real go for us and running through a brick wall, then we'll support them, and that's what we're trying to create in the early stages.
Yeah, and off the back of 3 points on a Saturday, do you think it's a positive to have to go straight into the Tuesday and carry the momentum through?
I do. I mean, listen, I think it's hard to do Saturday, Tuesday for 3 weeks solid. When you do Saturday, Saturday, that's 5 games in 2 weeks, that's tough, but to then go again Tuesday, Saturday is hard, so we're in the middle of that now. But like I say, hopefully we've got the squad that can cope for it. We've had a little bit of a crisis with Tyler getting suspended and Crooksy getting injured on Saturday, so we're hoping to try and deal with that, and I'm sure the boys will relish it. It's always good to win when you're in these runs.
It's Barnett who comes to the Alnea Community Stadium. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they beat our Solihull side twice last season, once in the Cup and once in the league. Really tough opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a really good game early in the season against them. We drew 1-1. That was when I realised how strong they were going to be last season, because it was a proper ding-dong, and my Solihull team were in good form at the time. So Dean's teams, they're incredibly well drilled. They're big, they're strong, they're physical, but they can play. And having watched loads of them, they'll cause us problems, and we're not going to just sit in and try and defend against them. We've got to cause them problems too. So hopefully it'll be a really good game.
And having Tyler Cordner suspended for the game, it brings you down to a lack of centre backs. It must be a big miss, but is it better to have it early than later on in the season, do you think?
To be honest with you, I said, first thing I said when I got the job, or even when I was talking to the owners before I got the job, was the squad was quite imbalanced. At the top end and the bottom end, there wasn't enough depth there, and that doesn't change. We try to bring in Marshy to give us different legs and different options up top, and at the other end we've now found, as soon as something happens with Crooksy and now Tyler, we're left with one centre back and we need to deal with it. But the owners are brilliant, they know this, and they'll certainly help me to try and solve the problem and get us through the next few weeks.
And finally, I think Finn Barnes, he was on a 1 month and it ends sometime this week.
Yeah, it ends. Yeah, Finn's up. Whether Finn goes back to the club he's at, whether he looks for a different option. I've had a good chat with Finn today. I like what I see, but I've also got 32-man squad sort of thing, and I've got a lot of senior players who have played at the level and the level above, coming back from injury or in and around the squad. And we need to get the balance right, and if Finn's not going to get into the 16 here, for the short term, we need him longer term to go out, play games and stay developing.
Thanks and good luck.